What movie will you never stop rewatching? Inception. No matter how many times I watch it, I continue to love the way the world and story is built on real-life dream-related phenomena. I also find the big revelation scene towards the end where they successfully plant the idea to give me goosebumps every time. Just the way the music changes and the scenes of the characters in different levels of the dream as it comes together. I don't know why, but it just seems to really hit some emotional notes well. The Shawshank Redemption. It's so well made. I can literally finish it and watch it again immediately. Dang, The Day After Tomorrow. It's a movie that will forever just randomly play in the background whenever it comes on. The Wizard of Oz. I was channel surfing today and it was on. I jumped up and down like a little kid. Jurassic Park. It's perfectly paced, never boring, and has great characters with great performances. Apollo 13. I'm not way into space, but that movie is just so enthralling. I still feel the suspense even having seen it a dozen times. It makes me feel patriotic in the best sense. There are a few. 1. 13 Hours. 2. Black Hawk Down. 3. Hunt for Red October. 4. Crimson Tide. Reservoir Dogs. Not sure why, I don't tire watching it. Story, dialogue, characters, all good. Alien, Monty Python's Holy Grail, or Life of Brian, The Holiday, and no matter how cliché it sounds, Harry Potter. Howl's Moving Castle. Sometimes I watch it at different angles, laying down, upside down, not directly in front of the screen, to notice details I haven't noticed before. It's like a fun surprise for me. Trading Places. I watch it every Christmas. One of the best unintentional Christmas movies ever made. So many movies on this list for me. Heed, Starship Troopers, Alien are just some of the off-top-of-the-head options. Gladiator, 2000. My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, Commander of the Armies of the North, General of the Felix Legions and loyal servant to the true Emperor, Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance, in this life or the next. Easy feel-good movies like Tangled and Enchanted. A lot of my favorite movies are emotionally exhausting. I'm much more likely to rewatch something lighthearted. When did you realize you outgrew your main friend group? Around the beginning of this year. I just got tired of clubbing and having meaningless convos. I got together with them recently. We went out to eat and caught up. It was nice. I moved countries when I was 13 and had to leave all my friends behind. I kept in touch with them for a while, but I stopped when I realized that I was the only one starting conversations and asking how they were doing. I've waited months to see if maybe they'd be curious about how I was doing and reach out first, but it never happened. I sometimes wonder how they're doing, but I don't think I'll start talking to them again. Nothing to talk about and bored AF when we text. In high school, I watched anime fairly often. Not hardcore, but enough to say I was an anime fan. I had a friend who would talk anime with me. We go to different colleges and every time he texts me, it's about anime. I told him I didn't want anime anymore. He continues to text me about anime despite him having other friends who watch anime. I told him we have got to have other things in common other than anime since we were friends for a few years. Nothing. Anime always comes up. I knew when I started to cringe at the idea of going out to a club or a bar. I found myself playing Xbox Online more, reading more, just generally desiring a more quiet life. Then I met my husband and was glad he was the same. We both prefer being home. On top of that, I realized my priorities were just different, which resulted in friendships ending. As well, I wanted to travel, try new things. My friends were having kids, just weren't on the same page anymore. When I got into a happy and healthy relationship with my now husband and they stopped inviting me to things and started making snide remarks about my relationship. Mind you, I was still the same friend and spent the same amount of time with them as before, and didn't constantly talk about my boyfriend. Luckily this was around the final exams and they all went to different universities. I got married 3 months ago, and none of my high school friends were invited and I didn't miss them one bit. When all they talked about was, oh, I have such a bad life. No, my life is worse because. Yeah, but I have I am an opos. I just got sick and tired of the constant drama and one of my friends making me sick with worry because they kept threatening to kill themselves for 5 years. Then when I got fed up and terrified after they didn't contact me for 4 days and let a teacher know about their mental state, they all became at me and basically outcasted me. They find themselves rehearsing how conversations will go in their head far more than having actual conversations? Yes, I have made myself upset with hypothetical conversation scenarios. Yes, I can't even call the DRS office to make an appointment for my daughter without rehearsing the entire conversation in my head at least a half dozen times while the phone is ringing. Lol. I've figured out, in my own situation, that I'm slowly getting over this anxiety or at least better at managing it by just winging it and quat. I'll intentionally refuse to rehearse the conversation and just wing it and quat. It never turns out as bad as I've always convinced myself it will/would, which gives me courage to keep up this practice of no rehearsal. Yep, social anxiety at its best. Also for me, most of the conversations I had in my head don't end up going that way at all. I do it so much that I think I've already said what I wanted to say, or I try saying everything at once. Yes, definitely, anytime I meet up with anyone, I rehearse conversations while getting ready to leave the house. You so get me, man. Men, how often do you wash yourself before intercourse? I shower every day for hygiene, not just in case of. On the toilet seat I hold my down and away from the seat, but not straight down out of fear of touching the water. If I think there is any chance of oral coming up, it's straight to the bathroom for a one-on-one with my little friend so he's extra clean and presentable. If I get surprised and oral is imminent, I'll still clean up extra unless it's early in the day after my shower. I have no problem placing my day-old sweaty in a day-old sweaty, though. Being an uncut man, I wash properly anyway, but if booty is in the plans, I take extra care when cleaning. Make sure I'm trimmed up properly, make sure I'm looking nice and smelling good. BC, that's one of the things that would make her want to see me again. I had one FWB thank me for always being so clean and smelling nice. I think of it as a matter of respect. If I was seeing a girl and she didn't have that same amount of respect for me, I wouldn't want to see her again. Sending from the toilet, it is higher than you think. I have to lean forward to get a good downward angle to pee. I am a grower, so that may have some impact. If I have an erection, I would have to be careful when directing it into the toilet or out. Being forced to take a shower before intercourse kills the mood unless you are going to shower together. I am not getting that dirty daily that I need a shower immediately before. If you think oral is on the table, yeah, go give it a rinse in the sink. Hope she does the same. I work a physical job, and even when I didn't, I shower every day. After work on work days, in the morning on not work days. If I've worked up a sweat, I'll shower before. If asked, I'll do it again. I take pride in the fact that I always smell good. I won't go with an erection, because touching the rim isn't the concern for me. So I'll either wait for it to go away or take care of it manually. If I don't have an erection, touching the rim still isn't really an issue. Plus, when you pee, so it has to go in the bowl anyway. Okay, first question. If I know I'm gonna have intercourse with someone, then I usually shower. If I realize during a hangout or similar that we're headed that way, then I go to the bathroom and quickly wash myself by wetting my hands. Second question. Depending on how hot it is, or whether I'm somewhat erect, I mostly have to hold my, cause otherwise it hits the rim or bowl, which is less than ideal for personal hygiene. They frequently have what I can only describe as shotgun poops. I had one that resembled popcorn chicken, a bunch of little round, but usually I have fireplace log. It's called a pebble dash. I'm laughing, but yes, it's usually an indication of low water consumption. Or, you might have been grazing while drinking beer. Or, it might have been an odd mix of cuisines you ate in a hurry, leftover Chinese, followed by a piece of raisin bread. Or, it may have been caused by refrained beans. If you want to help your doctor to better understand what you mean, use the Bristol Stool Scale https://www.webmd.com/digestive-disorders/chart Bristol Stool Scale to help describe your poops. When was, what you consider, the lowest point of your life and how did you eventually overcome it? Currently in it, have no idea how or when I'll get out of it. This April and the following months, I was 22, 23 now. My mom died at the beginning of April. The circumstances of her death were very traumatizing. Also, I was the one who found her body and had to deal with the immediate aftermath, which did a number on my mental health that hadn't been very good to begin with. Then my dad had a heart attack in May, which made me really paranoid that he was going to die too, because it suddenly started to look like a real possibility. I had panic attacks and random outbursts of tears almost every day for some time. I don't think this is something I can ever really get over, but it's getting better as time passes. Emotional support from my family and friends also helps a lot. I'm 19. When I was around 7 to 10, I don't remember exactly, I was almost raped by my uncle. He would, every day, touch me in a sexual way. It was disgusting. At that time I didn't know what that means. Growing up each year I started to understand those things. But once I turned 15 until now I still get flashbacks of what happened to me. I keep crying every night. The problem is no one in the family knows about this. I have no one to tell him what I have been through. The only good thing I did is I chose to study abroad to forget about every painful memory I have. Right now is my lowest point. Was laid off from my job back in September and having no success in finding a job, and I can't even afford basics right now, let alone rent. Rent is due next week and I don't have enough money for it despite having government assistance while job searching. Have gotten into a pretty deep depression and I don't know what to do. I've tried selling things I own but nothing is selling. I'm 35 years old and I didn't have savings. If I make it through this, I'm going to put aside any spare money I can and build up a 6-month emergency fund. I almost died of septic shock and my partner of 15 years refused to take me to the hospital. I called a friend to come bring me painkillers, but it was clear I needed the emergency room. He stood over me asking if it was completely necessary as my vision faded and I started convulsing. The ER doctors were absolutely stunned I recovered. I was in hospital for weeks and couldn't walk for longer than a minute without almost passing out. I waited till I was healthy again, took about a year and then I left him. He appeared to be blindsided by it. No idea I was unhappy.